All right, so we're live. Hey, what's up, everybody in the Facebook world, all those who follow our Facebook pages? I'm BJ. I'm the leader of the Santa Rosa County Democrats. I have my partner in crime in the county next door, Derrick Scott, who's the chair of the Escambia County Democrats, who have just recently flipped Escambia blue. So we need to be happy about that. So I always put on our Facebook page that we there's a lot going on, but we need to celebrate the small wins that we've seen over the course, especially with the two special elections. And those things are important, but we're hearing a lot from everyone regarding this bill that was passed in the Senate, unfortunately, yesterday, and is being discussed and debated in the House currently. And so I wanted to bring in Derrick because both of us are obviously hearing your complaints, we're hearing your frustration, and we just want to talk about what to do, what are some of the options out there, how this bill is going to affect us, what are some things that we can look forward to in an optimistic way, and some things we may have to, buckle down and prepare for if this thing passes. And so, Derrick, just introduce yourself to the Santa Rosa audience, just in case there's people who don't know who you are.
Okay, hello, Santa Rosa County. For those that I do not have the pleasure of knowing firsthand, my name is Derrick Scott, and I serve as chair, as BJ said, of the Escambia Democrats. I've been chair now. This is my second term, and we are very proud of the work that we are all doing collectively in the Panhandle. Yep, and we're trying to move the needle. So, like BJ said, I understand we too get a lot of phone calls, pushback. My email has been very active with respect to what happens next or how is this going to impact us. And I think this is now a very good time to talk about that and what it looks like for Escambia and Santa Rosa County and the Panhandle in general.
So, the things that's been getting the headlines is obviously the cuts to Medicaid, the cuts to SNAP benefits, um, in exchange for tax cuts to people who are millionaires and billionaires and who don't really need tax cuts. So, what this basically is, I call it wage theft. They are basically robbing from the middle class, the working poor, in order to give tax breaks to people who really, at the end of the day, don't need them. And so, what the consequences with this will be, particularly in Santa Rosa County, is we've got, and you can look up this data. It's public information. The There's 25,000 families on Medicaid in Santa Rosa County alone. I think in Escambia County that number is maybe not quite double, but almost there. Maybe roughly 39, 40,000. Um, and in Okaloosa County, we can get that information for you, but it's a little bit more than Santa Rosa County, but not as much as Escambia County. So there's almost close to 100,000 families between just the three counties in the Western Panhandle that can be affected by these cuts. But though they will have direct cuts, but this is going to affect all of us. This bill is coming for everybody. It's not just coming for families who are on Medicaid, because when those families don't no longer have Medicaid services, they're still going to require health care. So those costs are going to be pushed on to other people who are going to have to who are to shoulder the cost. So your healthcare premiums are going to go up, your insurance premiums are going to go up, your out-of-pocket costs may go up. So this is a bill that's going to touch everyone, and so it's very important that everyone understands that this is, while we certainly want to protect families who are on Medicaid, don't think you're not that you're exempt from the harms of this bill.
Exactly. I mean, when we look at it, the cuts alone, you talk about it specifically when we look at Escambia County. I know we have about 80,000 residents who currently rely on some type of Medicaid assistance or the CHP program here in the state of Florida. And when we look at that, like when we talk about the SNAP benefits, that's about 30,000 individuals here in Escambia County that are going to be impacted immediately by the passing of this bill. It's unfortunate because we hear people. I was just out with Jill, our counterpart over in Okaloosa County yesterday, and there was a table we were at a restaurant. And there was a table that was sitting behind us who was talking about the big beautiful bill and their excitement for it to pass. And in the same breath, I listened to them also talk about relying on the community health programs, right? And I almost turned around and asked them, "Do you realize that once this passes, you talking about taking your child to go see the doctor for the community health is going to be no longer for you specifically? Do you understand the impact of your lived experience and how that passes?" But it's just I don't know if it's blind loyalty or if it's ignorance. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's going to be, if it does indeed pass, the effects are going to be astronomical. And I'm not sure that people are 100% aware of just how it impacts them. Or maybe they are and they just don't care because they believe that it impacts someone else differently.
That was exactly what I was going to say. I think they're aware of the impacts. I think that they just think in their minds that they're exempt from the impacts. And so it's okay for it to happen as long as it's happening to somebody else over there who I either don't identify with, who I think is not deserving of whatever they have or whatever they're receiving. And so we're seeing this obviously a lot throughout this administration. A lot of people are finding out that they thought that they were exempt, but really the underlying current is they knew what they were voting for. They just didn't think that those consequences were going to land at their doorstep. So
Exactly right.
we been some frustration, at least from the public in Santa Rosa County, particularly our diehard followers who think that we're not doing enough to stop this train. And
Okay.
I understand when you are watching the news and when you're looking at this basically this locomotive coming forward and there doesn't look like there's any way to stop it, that it can appear as though we're not doing anything. I
Right.
just want to be clear, Santa Rosa County Democrats, we are not a protesting organization. We are in the business of getting Democrats elected. We're in the business of registering voters as Democrats so that we can get Democrats elected. We're in the business of turning out the vote, particularly when elections come by. We're in the business of recruiting young people to our cause. But in terms of the Democratic Party being an organizing effort for protests, we certainly will join in protests, and we're not exempt from that. We will help support those efforts in ways that we can, but for the Democratic Party to be the Democratic Party is going to protest, first of all, y'all got to donate more money to us because we ain't got the funds to be
Yeah.
training people to go through, all the training that's required to buy permits. You can't just show up. You got to have a permit to go to some of these places. They say
Mhm.
First Amendment with a permit. And most of the
Right.
time, permits cost money. And if you don't have a permit, you are engaging in civil disobedience that puts you at risk for arrest. And we don't have your bail money. So
Right.
there's a lot more that goes into the Democratic Party shouldering the burden of organizing a demonstration against the government. So, but that doesn't mean that Democrats don't show up, to protest. Many Democrats, I have shown up to organizations and protests and rallies, and so we certainly do show up as individuals. But if you're waiting for the Santa Rosa County Democrats to plan a demonstration in front City Hall, we got more work to do before that happens.
Right. And I would even say the same to echo your point. As Scambia Democrats, we absolutely support, encourage, and engage with the community in getting out to these protests. In fact, if you go to our site and get our mailers, you'll see we have a mobilizer, a way to let people know that, hey, there's a protest. You can sign up for it. Although we are not spearheading, we are not at the forefront of the protest, to BJ's point, our goal is, just as he said, to get Democrats elected, to get out the vote, register people to vote, and register and re-enroll people and vote by mail. That is our sole purpose. Everything else, we kind of work with our individual clubs and caucuses to help assist in that cycle. But to your point, I get it all the time. The number one emails I get: what are the Escambia County Democrats doing to stop this? Well, I can give you ways in which you as an individual can stop, to voice your concern. Number one, that we have elected officials. Jimmy Petronis, we just sent him, and I say we, meaning those who voted for him, just sent him to Congress. He is your voice. He is the person that represents Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and a very small portion of Walton counties in this process. So he is the person that you call and voice your concern and say, hey, do not support this bill. If you need to make your way down to the ones in CD2, those in Walton County and Bay and the other counties further east, that you call their congressperson. There's an app that we encourage people to use all the time, and it's called Five Calls, I believe is what it is. Five Calls, yeah. And that gives you, if you have questions, it gives you who your congressperson is, who your senator is, their contact information, where their offices are located. And it even gives you a script on what to say if you are not sure on how this impacts or what you want to say. You know that you're against it, but you don't know how to formulate it or articulate it. This is the best app that can give you a blueprint on what to say. It'll even dial the office of your congressperson or your U.S. senator, and get that information to them. Say, hey, do not support this bill. This is what we're doing. But I will tell you, as we move in, we're in the thick of it. We are living it. This is where we are right now. The best thing that we can tell you, that I can tell you to do, is make sure that in 2026 you show up when it's time to vote and pick your. We have a senator, U.S. senator, that's going to be up for election in 2026 here in Florida. The congressperson, Jimmy Petronis, is going to be up for election/re-election in 2026. This is your time to make your voice heard and let them know you are sick and tired of all of the BS, everything that's happening. And you want to make sure that they're voting in the interest of the nation, as well as Floridians and folks in Northwest Florida in the Panhandle. This is that opportunity to do so. We scream it, get out the vote, get out of the vote. We screamed it in November. We screamed it again in April. And now we're living, unfortunately, the effects of not getting enough people out, or people voting a different way, or not fully understanding the magnitude of what was coming down the pipeline and the severity of how your vote impacted our future in November as well as in April.
And just to emphasize how important it is to turn out and vote, if everyone who voted for Kamala Harris had just turned out and voted for Gay Vallimont, we would have a Gay Vallimont instead of a Jimmy Petronis. We would have a dead even Congress, which means this bill wouldn't even be a discussion. Maybe it would have passed in the Senate, but it definitely wouldn't have the votes in the House right now. And so there was an opportunity for us to claim this seat, and people didn't know about the election. I don't know how you couldn't know about the election. I mean, Gay had basically bought all the ad space available.
You can turn on the television on any channel and not see Gay during commercial break.
And quite honestly, if I'm being honest, every single voter in Santa Rosa County I know was informed of the election. Now, whether they received that information and acted upon it, that's something to be discussed. But if you had an address, you received a postcard. If you had a phone number, you got a text message. If you have a phone number listed with the SOE, there was a phone call made to you. We did mailers, we did door knocking, we did text messaging, we did and Gay did all those things as well. Multiple times. I received probably 5 different mailers from Gay. I actually didn't get anything from the Republicans.
Right.
So at a certain point, we have to take responsibility. We are outnumbered. We understand that. But this was the opportunity to show what we were made of. And we had a good showing. We made strides, like we said at the beginning of this. We flipped Escambia blue. We flipped one precinct blue in Milton, and that's great. I'm happy about that. I celebrate that all the time. I make sure that people know that. But now we got to keep building on that momentum. We flipped one precinct. We have 41 precincts. So we got some work to do in order to continue to flip more precincts. I say we go after number 27 next. Now that we flip precinct 1, and then after that, let's go after precinct 37. Let's go after Holly by the Sea. These are the ways that we have to fight. We're not going to change this overnight. People want, I feel the energy that I'm getting is people like really want an overnight solution to a problem that didn't happen overnight. This
Right.
area was ignored for almost a generation. We're not ignoring it anymore. We have the people in place who are ensuring that this section of the state is no longer in the forget about them box. But we also need you all in the public. We need you all to show up for events. We need you all to sign up to knock on doors or to send postcards or to make text messages or make phone calls. We really need you. You are the party. We are an
Yeah.
organization, but you are the party. If you are a registered Democrat, you are a member of the party that we depend on in order to move this car forward.
Yeah. And you highlighted something that I think people are now coming to the realization, because we talk about, and I think those of us who live this are engaged at the party level, from this perspective, understood the severity of the April 1st election and what it meant to both Floridians as well as the nation. And it's ironic in a way, because when you look at it, every other state in this great nation had eyes on these two races, Congressional District 1 and Congressional District 6, that took place on April 1st. Everyone understood the importance. We had, during the April 1st election cycle, there were volunteers from all 49 other states who came in, whether they sent postcards, whether they made phone calls, whether they came. Actually, we had folks here from Alaska and Colorado who came to Florida and knocked doors. These people were committed because they understood from a nation how to stop the madness, how to stop Project 2025, how to stop the big beautiful bill act, and understood the magnitude of what it meant for us to be able to show up and win this election. I wish that more people in the Panhandle understood that same severity, because I think if they knew then what they know now, I think the turnout would have been different in both Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and maybe Walton, I don't know, but certainly Santa Rosa and Okaloosa, because we see the impacts. You talked about the 20 some odd thousand folks on Medicaid that's going to be impacted, and you losing their SNAP benefits. That's going to be detrimental. And I don't understand. I don't know if people, again, understand the severity of it. It seems like the nation did, and that we tried our best, but now here's where we are, and this is the only thing we can do. We can just push forward, understand what resources that remain may be available for us, in terms of people who may need assistance in trying to get through this. I'm not sure how that impacts, because I know the 501c3 and C4 world and their funding has gone too with this administration. Their resources are slim to none. So I don't know how how the impact will be felt, but I will know that I do know that this is just a time period, and we too will get through this. But in order to get beyond it, we need to show up in 2026.
Right. And our Facebook page has almost 1,700 followers.
Mm-hmm.
When I started working with the Facebook page, it probably had 500. So it's doubled. Scambia's got over 3,000, right? I think.
I couldn't tell you. If you say you might, I'll go with that. It sounds right, but I don't know.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. I haven't ever had 10% of the people that follow us on Facebook show up to a meeting or volunteer to help us.
Yeah.
I get it, people busy. I get it, people have families, people have jobs. I understand that. Um, but everybody's going to have to participate in this democracy. There's no free
Mhm.
lunch. Like literally, now there's about to be
No.
no free lunch.
Right.
Like it's no longer an expression or a euphemism. You literally about to not have no free lunch.
Lunch,
So
right.
it's either you figure out what skill you bring to this fight and do and lean into that aggressively. But we appreciate your feedback on Facebook. We love your comments. We like them. We share them. Keep doing that. But if you think social media advocacy is doing something, I want to call you higher. I would like to invite you to do a little bit more than expressing your frustrations through emails to us and
Mhm.
Facebook messages to us. While we appreciate the engagement, we would certainly love that energy in order to create impact. And so it's not a call out, it's a call up. And we want
Mhm.
everybody on all of the Facebook pages because I look at all of them. I see what,
Mhm.
how we're sharing, making sure we're all on the same page, making sure, we're moving the ball forward and not going backwards. And so I see that there is a similarity in everybody being very on edge, very tense, and wondering what we're doing.
Right, right. And what I want to share, just so that people understand, because a lot of people are like, I get it all the time. They're like, okay, the Democratic Party is just people who are registered Democrats who vote. What exactly can I do, or how do I help support the Democrats? You talk about engage and coming to our meetings. So I just want to share with some of those folks who don't understand the structure of what we have. Everything. Our meetings are open to all, whether you're Democrat, you're NPA, even Republicans. They can attend the meeting. However, we have, for those who are registered Democrats, a program that's called precinct captains and neighborhood captains. You are the precinct captains are the official liaisons between the Democratic Party and the other Democrats in your respective precinct. We get often all the time that people will say, "Oh, well, we don't have a lot of Democrats, but we have enough." And what I often get on a daily basis is people saying, when I start talking about our numbers, they're like, "I didn't realize that there were so many Democrats here." There are powers that you're not alone. Like we spent time during the House District 3 election here in Escambia County. We spent time over in Santa Rosa County in precinct 20 in Santa Rosa, and that's Pace. And I often laugh because I was like, is everybody in Pace a Democrat? Because everybody lives right next to each other. And when we would knock doors, they'd say, oh, no, you can't knock. There are no other Democrats here. And I'm like, no, that house, that house, that house, that house, that house. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, all these people, right? They're here. They're all Democrats. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm positive. We just talked to them. So there's strength in numbers. And when you don't know or you don't have the ability, come out and participate. This is where it happens. So you're like, okay, well, is there a cost to it? There's no cost to it. The only cost is a little bit of your time. We meet monthly, and during election cycles, that might be a little bit your time to volunteer may be a little bit more intense, but it definitely is worth the while. When we're talking about the best way we get out the vote is to get people engaged and informed. And that means we have to have people all across both counties, whether it's Escambia County or Santa Rosa County. And the best way is to be that liaison and say, hey, I can help. Some precincts have more people than others, but you don't do it alone. Each one of our precincts has up to 4 precinct captains. So it's not just depending upon just solely you. You have a built-in team inside of your precinct. If you drill down further, you can have neighborhood captains depending upon how your precinct is laid out. Sometimes they stretch a little further than others.
Mm.
So there are areas of opportunity to get engaged. Our meetings are once a month. We have them both, I think, well, I know for Scambia, we have both Zoom and in-person options. So if you can't make it, come on, show up on Zoom. We have that. You can call us and we can give you the information on how to join our meetings. we'd love to have you. The more the merrier, because the only way we're going to see the change that we need is to get everybody engaged.
Right. And just to pinpoint how important it is for your precinct captains, and most people don't know their precinct, and that's fine. We can certainly tell you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know, Ron DeSantis, there's a lot of stuff happening nationally, but Ron DeSantis just submitted his line item vetoes. And Santa Rosa County did not fare well, considering that it gave Ron DeSantis 75% of the vote. We did not fare well. There were several projects that were cut, strips, or defunded as a result
Mm-hmm.
of his line item vetoes. One of those is Soundside. Soundside is a relatively wealthy area that has seen flooding, that has seen overdevelopment, clear cutting, and as a result has seen a lot of flooding because of that. And so there was a Soundside restoration project that was completely defunded. Soundside gave elected Ron DeSantis with 76% of the vote.
Wow.
So if you're in the 25%, you need to organize the 75. You need to find out who those other 25% are that voted for Charlie Crist instead of Ron DeSantis. You need to find out who those people are. And then you use that 25% to try and organize the 75% who need that flood prevention program and make them realize that they didn't get it because of the person that they voted for. This is unfortunately, we are in a persuasive game here. I can't convince 100,000 people on my own. I need you all,
Mm-hmm.
who live in Soundside and the Santa Rosa. I've gotten all 13 pages of the line item vetoes, and I've got to go through it one by one. But I certainly saw, because Soundside is near where I live. I ain't that wealthy. I don't live in Soundside. Don't get it twisted. I said it's near. I said it's near where I live. Um, but I've canvassed there, and I know y'all got money. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's going to be one of the things that's important, is that we got to identify, this is what you're voting for. This is what happened because of the vote. Now we need to make a different choice. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of crap happening nationally, a lot of stuff happening at the state level, and believe it or not, a lot of stuff happening at the local level as well. So we could talk for hours about this, and get into the minutia and the nuance of it. But at the end of the day, just know that your Democratic Party's leaders in each county, believe it or not, we all have jobs, and this is like a second job. Believe it or not, trying to run
Mm-hmm.
keep this boat afloat, to ensure that there is a presence here for you all at home who align ideologically with us. It is a lot of work, and so it makes the work easier when we have more bodies to help carry the things out. So, do you have any closing thoughts, Derrick?
Yeah, no, I just want to say, make sure the last thing I'll say is we talk about it. We you talk about the stuff that it takes. It takes in terms of organizing. It takes funding, and you mentioned it earlier, talking about donations. I want everybody to understand, even when you donate, for those of you all who donate locally, we say thank you. There are still a swath of Democrats who say, "Oh, I give money to the National Democrat, the Democratic National Committee, or even to the Florida Democratic Party." I will tell you that money does not matriculate downstream. So what you give stays there. So if you want your impact to be felt locally, donate locally, because I promise you, we don't get $1 from the Democratic National Committee or the Florida Democratic Party. All of our sourcing comes from donors here locally who care about this area and want to see the 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 hope and the dream and the mission succeed. So for those of y'all who are donating, who switch, if you hear us and you say, "Oh wait, it doesn't make it," switch your donation. Stop your recurring donation. Donate locally to the Santa Rosa Democrats. Donate locally to the Scambia Democrats. That's the way you're going to make the change. If you can't invest your time, certainly invest your resources, and we can absolutely do what we need to do with that.
And if you really are a type of person who needs to know where your donations go, I can tell you, when you receive a postcard, that
Mm-hmm.
postcard got to you, the postage and the design and the printing of that postcard got to you because of a local donor. That is
Mhm.
what we're using the money for. I would say 99% of it is goes right back into the community for voter engagement.
Mhm.
So that is the way to make it happen. So I would even say we spend the money better than I would say candidates do. But that's another discussion. That's another discussion. So if you're donating, maximizing donations to a candidate in Arizona, you I can guarantee you Santa Rosa County Democrats will
Mhm.
spend that money much more productively than donating to a candidate, in another state who you may feel very passionate about and who probably needs money to run their campaign. But if you've got a limited number of resources and you're not donating locally, we could certainly use your help, because that 100% of that goes back into voter engagement, recruiting, postcards, and all the things because these things ain't free.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
100%. All right. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to tune in. And if we need to come back with a state of emergency because something else then went down, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do. And hopefully we can add more counties and voices on there. But we're just going to do this because I was getting a lot of traffic on the page about people in this bill. And it's important, and we get it. We know it's important. So we wanted to respond to that. But until then,
Absolutely.
thanks, Derrick.
All right. Thanks, BJ. See you all.
Later.